All right, guys, we are live. It's episode 251 of the Shooter's Mindset. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Joining me, Jennifer Seymour. What's going on, Jen?
Hey, everybody.
Craig Cannon's in the house. What's going on, Craig?
Hey, everyone.
All right. And guest and star of the hour is affiliated with the folks over at Microtech Knives. He's doing sales, PR, all the good stuff, all the fun stuff, I'm sure, for Microtech. That's Corey Campbell. What's going on, Corey?
How's it going, guys?
It's good to have you on. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Microtech Knives, and many people are out there. So it's also you're affiliated with TTI and the whole John Wick thing. That's been the craze, and I'm sure is only going to get even. I know we've kind of beat the topic. We kind of beat the topic to death a little bit since we're kind of like, we had a few STI guests and coming on the show recently. But, I mean, John Wick 3 is coming out in May, so we still have plenty of time to talk about it.
I know. We can beat that horse for – I could beat that horse for a couple months, and I would not be tired of it.
Yeah, agreed. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that and some more about some knives. Show sponsors here, the folks over at Tactical Shit. All right, shop.tacticalshit.com. For all your tactical shit needs. We have a discount code coming from them later on in the show. Also, the folks over at GSL Technologies, all right? The world's finest suppressor. That is gsltechnologies.com. All right, check them out if you're in the market for one of those. If you want to get your questions in live, you're watching on the YouTube side of things, top right-hand corner, you can join the conversation. Jen's over there scanning those, and we'll get them out to Corey, or if you have any questions for us, we'll scan them, get them out live throughout the show. Facebook, The Shooter's Mindset on Facebook. There's a post that just went up. Greg's over there scanning those. So if you want to talk to Greg and give him some action, well, sounds kind of weird, but if you want to give him some action, you can go over there and post a comment right below that post over on the Facebook side. And lastly, theshootersmindset.com, where you can keep up with the Shooter's Mindset show over there. Check out our blogs, our shop, and all things Shooter's Mindset at theshootersmindset.com. All right, let's crank this one up. For those who are unfamiliar with you, Corey, tell us a little bit more about yourself, kind of how you got in the firearms knife industry, and tell us a little bit about Microtech company-wise.
Yeah, so obviously I actually started totally in a different industry. I actually did the tennis thing for a while. So I traveled and played tennis, and then was a tennis pro for a couple years. Got burnt out on that lifestyle. So at the time I was shooting competitively. So I thought I'd get a job at a gun store. I just thought it'd be a fun job to kind of change it up. And that turned into kind of where I got into all the PR, marketing stuff, which once I left there, I immediately, me and Tony had struck up a friendship. And then so once I left the place I was at previously, I just moved right on over to Microtech and just made that transition. So it was pretty easy.
Right on.
But, yeah.
So Microtech as a company, tell us a little bit more about it. I know it's been around for a long time, very popular in the movie scene with every actor that has some type of knife scene. It's probably rocking a Microtech.
Yeah, so so the company itself was actually founded in 1993. Tony, it's kind of a rags to riches story. It's pretty cool. Tony and Susan Marfione were actually building knives out of their apartment, and just trying to sell them for whatever they could get them for, at the time. And then, which was that was in 92. So 93, 94 was the transition where they actually founded Microtech. And that was where we, within a couple of years, they actually had made the Ultratech, which is still to this day our most popular knife that we sell, by far, by a pretty long shot. That wasn't designed until 1999, but every couple of years from when the company was created, there's been a new model that has come out that is sort of, at least by their standards, taken over the market. Obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, Microtech is very well known for our out the front knives. They're extremely durable. I can't speak for other companies, but we have a couple of destruction kind of test videos on our Instagram. They're a little far down now. They're from a couple months ago, but Jason McCoy, which a lot of people know who follow Microtech, big, muscular, good-looking guy. He did some destructive testing, hammered it into concrete and some railroad track kind of wood stanchions or whatever, and they still work. So they're kind of built to use them. Some of our knives are on the custom end. They're very pretty, very decorative. But at the end of the day, all of our knives are designed to be used.
There we go. I mean, you got to love those stories on how, I know, Jen, you always kind of, when you hear this, people who just start in their apartment or in their garage and just make like this huge kind of firearms or apparel company or knife company. You know, it's kind of like that rags to riches. You know, whatever, I'll do it to whatever, make some ends meet, pay some bills, and then look at where Microtech is now and the collection that Anthony has, I'm sure.
I love those stories because I feel like so many of those are people that really do it because they love it. You know what I mean? Most people don't do something out of their garage to like become a multimillionaire. They do it because that's something that they're passionate about and they love. You look at the gun companies that started small and they, you know, most of them are doing it out of the need for invention. They wanted to invent things to make the sport better or whatever. And then it grew into a great company. I love those stories because I think they're just better companies overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you know, I guess a lot of people don't know Anthony Marfione actually started with Knights Armament.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and was doing some stuff with them, and that was sort of his groundwork for where he decided to start his own company and make knives. It was sort of, you know, I guess from my understanding, a lot of companies, especially, you know, back in the early and mid 90s, were coming to Knights Armament for a lot of government military contract stuff. And sort of he saw a potential need to build custom knives for groups like that. So even to this day, we have knives that go out to a lot of special forces units and are just, you know, that were kind of designed with them in mind.
Boom, nice stuff. And we talked about some of the movies and how popular Microtech is in them. What are some of your favorite movies that the Microtech is in?
Technically, they make some brief appearances, but our knives actually show up in The Dark Knight. The Joker uses a couple Microtechs. Also, one of the Sylvester Stallone movies, Bullet to the Head. So that there were some halos in that. They show up in a lot of films. Just you know, people do not realize how often our knives, you know, because you know they'll show up in little glimpses, and you know, like things like the guns and the knives aren't always really the center in shows. But they show up in a lot of those. But obviously, what we are most known for in the kind of cinematic realm is for our knives showing up in the John Wick series. So they have shown up in the Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and they will also be, in a very big way, will also be in Chapter 3.
Yeah. I mean, and man, it really drives the craze when you see. I know, you know, we do the post, and I've always bought firearms off of movies that I liked. I know people say that's a silly way, and some people just don't believe in that. That's dumb. You're you know, some people nasty comment. You're a moron. Why would you do that? Whatever. But I don't know. It's just because Keanu Reeves had it and stuck it in like Common's chest. Now I want it. All right.
Oh yeah.
The piece. All right. And I have it, and it's actually the one he had in the movie. I'll make up some story behind it, like. You know, just to amp it up if I'm showing it off. But it really is a showman's piece. I don't know if you carry your John Wick's.
I do. I actually brought it. That was the one I was carrying today.
There it is.
Yeah,
I've been looking for. You know, I've been looking for one of those forever. And I don't even want the commemorative set. I just want that knife. That, you know, it could just be a combat Trudon with that satin finish and double edge. And I just want that one. I don't have to come with the pencil and the 3 coins and all that. Don't need to come with that. I just want that knife.
I'll have to work something out, or I'll just have to sell you mine.
I keep waiting for one in the shop, but I know if it comes in the shop that everybody's going to take it before I see it. So it'll probably never hit my hands that way.
Yeah, I'll have to send you one. Put your name on. Just laser your name on.
Yeah, if you see one come off the workshop or whatever, and you know, yeah, just put my name on and consider that one gone.
Yeah,
that'll be much appreciated. I tell you what, but guns that I've bought, I know there was a movie, Faster with The Rock, and the whole entire movie he had a Ruger Super Red Hawk Alaskan and 454 Tool. The entire movie, and it was like unlimited bullets, and really it's only like a 5-shot or something like that. But I came up on one of those guns just because he had it in the movie, and it was an awesome gun. I wish I still had it today. Should have never sold it.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that once or twice. I've regretted a few. I actually had a P30L from John Wick, and I sold it. And it's kind of one of those love-hate. You decided to sell it, but you're like, should I have done that? And you don't really know.
Yeah, P30s you can, you know, they're not hard to find. You can get one easily, I'm sure. What else we got? Anything live that came in, or what do we got?
Nothing yet. It's
No,
kind of.
nothing live yet.
Oh wait, I do have one. Myth Custom wants to know how many employees does Microtech have?
So this is a good question, because there's a pretty solid misconception, I guess, because I would say in the OTF market, obviously we do some folders and things like that, but in the out the front market, I would say that the company has a pretty large market share of that. It's definitely sort of big in that realm, and we're probably at about 100 employees, maybe a little less.
Wow.
So it's we're actually a very small company. We're still we're privately owned, still family run. Everything's made in America kind of deal. So it's still to this day, it's kind of family run business that is still a very small operation, but we just pump out a lot of knives.
There we go. Havoc Legion shooting team is also checking in. He's it's been a while since I've seen him in the comment section there. I appreciate him watching. What else? We talked a little bit about this in the pre-show, but obviously the shop I work at is a Microtech dealer, and the secondhand market for these knives, okay, and even being a dealer, people will call up the shop, hey, do you got a SOCOM, this and that? And we're like, nope, I don't have any in stock. And they're like, well, can you order me one? We're like, no, we can't, because it's not how it works with Microtech. Like, we put on a list how many knives we want, and I'm sure the list is extensive, and they kind of just show up in whatever way they show up. We never really know what's...
And that's actually part of the kind of perception of our size. But because we're still so small, we make runs of different knives. So we're not we have at any given time, we've got 1,500 to 2,500 SKUs of different knives in different colors, configurations, things like that. And we're obviously not running all of those at the same time. And so what happens is with a lot of our orders that come in, they kind of get filled as we make more, as we go to make SOCOMs or make combat. Right now we're doing a lot of SOCOMs and doing a lot of the 85s and the Ultratechs, and some other stuff's kind of peppered in there. But so everything's on almost like a cycle. Is a good way to put it. So things come out in cycles. We try and do as much as we can of certain knives so that we can get as many out there as possible.
Right. And again, the knife, I mean, some people, we're in the firearms community and stuff like that. The knife community is a whole nother animal of like addiction, like crazy folks that want to spend wicked amount of money on knives. I mean, it's absolutely nuts.
I mean, I obviously still, with my kind of connections to Taran Tactical, I still consider myself in the gun industry, because that's sort of where I started in this whole kind of world. But I will say that the knife community is far different than anything I could have ever imagined. I mean, obviously, all the people I've met at the shows and things like that, they're fantastic. The knife community is genuinely awesome. But I mean, I can tell you some like normal, not just regular production kind of run-of-the-mill knives. I've had people try and buy them for 2 or 3 times more than I've paid for them, or more than like retail. And you see it all the time. I'm on a bunch of the forums. I'm sure you are, a couple of the big Microtech forums on Facebook. Yeah. And all the time, I mean, I know a buddy who sold a SOCOM today. It was green, it was a little bit older. It's from the early mid 2000s. He sold it for like $500. And it's, at the time it was probably a $200 knife, maybe. So it's the market, the secondhand market for Microtech is huge. I like to tell people that most of the time you can get close to 85 to 90% of what you paid for it, and if you happen to have the right color or the right configuration, you have somebody who's willing to pay 115 to 150% more than what it went for just to get it. So it's a huge secondhand market. It's probably the biggest one of the bigger ones that I've seen. It was impressive. It was a lot to take in. Yeah,
I've had a handful of them, Microtechs, and I tell you what, and they were just Ultratechs, and it doesn't have to be couple $1,000, $500. You can just buy an Ultratech. You can buy a UTX 85. You can buy something like that, and you're like, you could have a blue one, and then all of a sudden, Microtech doesn't produce blue anymore, or they're just not around that cycle to produce. They only got black ones out there right now, and you got that one dude that's looking for a blue one out there. all right, dude, I've used it like for 2 years. It's beat up. It needs to be resharpened. Like it has some like grease on it or something. And they're like, dude, I don't care. I'll give you $400 for it. I'm like,
yeah, it's
well, all right, dude, it's sold to you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I would buy another one.
People definitely lost it a little bit when we announced we were doing colors. I've actually brought a couple. I brought our Valentine's Day when we did. And then I've got a couple. I got a blue and a turquoise, I believe. Because that was the big thing. People were obsessed with the colors because for a long time we were just doing, just doing some standard colors. And so that's really been very popular. We've not been able to keep those in stock at all. We can't even keep up with making them half the time with some of the colors. So it's there's definitely a preference, but the market for colors and like you said, some of that stuff, people just go crazy for it.
There we go. Yeah, I mean the sought after. I mean it's absolutely nuts. I mean we have been getting at the shop, we've been getting our collection kind of up, but every time something really flashy comes in, it's usually gone right away. But now we do have some Valentine's Day ones. We do have some pinks, some blues, some reds, and a variety of different knives. So if you guys want, you can always contact Corey, which way they can get a hold of you, or you can contact me. And obviously, you can get me at theshootersmindset@gmail.com if you're interested in like getting the lady a pink one for Valentine's Day or something.
Yeah. You can reach out. Obviously, my Microtech email is ccampbell. So the first letter of my first name and then my last name. So ccampbell@microtechknives.com. You can email me there, or you can find me on social media. Corey Campbell. We'll pull that up.
Yeah, a couple Trudons, Ultratechs. We have one Halo in red. Whatever that they go really quick. So if you want one, you got to get it because we only have like one of each.
Yeah, we know some people if you're looking for one.
Right, yeah. Definitely, if you can explain the difference between like a standard Microtech and like a Marfione kind of custom deal.
Yeah, so for instance, I'll grab, because I got a couple customs. So this is a production Microtech Combat Troodon. So it's going to have the logo, with just the Microtech logo, a black Cerakoted or gun-coated blade. And typically they're kind of in standard colors. There's nothing super flashy or, extravagant about them. It's black hardware or like bead blasted hardware. When you start to get into our customs, that's when things kind of go up a notch. Obviously we have the actual Marfione logo on them. This particular one is a blade style we do not do very often. It's actually called a spike grind. So there's no kind of middle cutout or fuller, as well as the entire knife, if you can see it, get that on the camera, the entire knife's accented in copper hardware. So you got copper screws, copper inlays on the button, as well as a copper inlaid glass breaker. So some of this stuff, a knife like this is going to go for anywhere between $1,700 to a little over $2,000, just depending on the exact configuration. But so obviously Marfione Customs, a lot of people come up to us at the shows. They don't really know the difference. So Marfione Customs, the easy way to describe it is it's a division within Microtech. So Microtech's the umbrella company, if you will, and then Marfione Customs is just as a custom shop within the whole facility. So it's sort of like a Colt's custom shop or Springfield Armory's custom shop. So you got the main company, and then they have the guys who were kind of making sort of more high-end, limited run type stuff. So that would be the kind of the easy explanation for that. Anything we make out of the custom shop is coming with much different blade styles and finishes. It's a lot of the mirror polish, a lot of the DLC'd mirror DLC, which is my favorite, but it's the most expensive because there's a huge failure rate on the mirror DLC. A lot of the things, like for instance, this is an Ultratech. We'll do a lot of really cool things like inlay exotic woods or carbon fiber, or abalone in the blade, as well as in the chassis. So it's a lot of different kind of stuff like that. Our custom shop guys, they get to use their imagination a little bit when they're building some of this stuff. So it's kind of, there's some really cool stuff where we've got coming out this year from the custom shop.
So you call it the custom shop. Is that y'all's ideas where you just come up with like this like that knife you just showed, just something crazy and you just try and sell it? Or can I call and be like, hey, I want this knife with this and that and the other thing?
It'd be more, it's not your conventional custom shop. It's not something where I could call up and be like, hey, I want these configurations. Only because, one of the big things we try and focus on, because the secondhand market is so, crazy, in a good way crazy, but, it's so popular and so active. We avoid attempting to make kind of one-off knives. It does happen every once in a while, but we try and avoid making knives that are one of a kind, simply because it sort of disrupts that that kind of flow. But obviously, most of the time we're coming up with things that we think would be really cool, or things we haven't ever seen done before, or things we haven't done before. So that would be our kind of idea of the custom shop. It would be similar to a lot of the gun custom shops where they're coming out with their own stuff. Sometimes those guys they'll allow you the option to do orders, but it's kind of our own imagination station as far as that goes.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, I wouldn't call myself like a knife guy. Like, that being said, I can't. Well, I take that back. When I went into the sheriff's office to get my pistol, my concealed carry, when I moved to Georgia, was the last time I was out of the house without a knife in my pocket since I was 16. But I'm definitely not at that level of knife guy. But it's just really cool, the demand for somebody that wants that particular knife and that particular color with that particular blade cut, what the lengths they'll go to get it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely one of those two-edged swords kind of things. Obviously, we're not making knives, specifically that say like you or me would want, but it really frees up our custom shop to have an imagination. They're not being tied down so much on without being able to kind of express their own ideas. I mean, they're doing it every day, so they have a really good idea of what they're capable of. So on the other end, it allows them to really kind of just go all in and go all out and kind of make some really cool stuff.
And when they do these custom ones, is it like, okay, I'm going to take this one knife and customize it, or will they do like a run? Okay, we'll make 10 of these, 5 of these, stuff like that.
It's usually like that. It's I assume it's like the way a lot of things go. If they we'll make these combats with inlays just like the wood. Usually with the combats we'll do some type of carbon fiber or something cool like that. And usually they'll make one, make sure everything works, make sure it looks good, and make sure everything flows. Because sometimes ideas don't always work out when you physically build the idea. But if it works, then typically they'll make a run of 10 or make a run of 15, or it'll vary kind of depending on the situation of how popular it is. But they'll typically make at least a handful of any particular knife that comes out of the custom shop. There are a couple that there's like 2 or 3. Anything really special, a lot of our much higher end knives that kind of are at the top of our price point, there's maybe 2 or 3 of, but we'll make at least a couple typically.
Are those listed on the website where people can look and say, oh, I like that custom one, or how do they see the custom ones?
And at the moment, the best way to see them is via our Instagram. We will post all that there. Where a lot of people don't realize we just launched a new website that's really, really awesome, and we're in the process right now of still adding a bunch of pictures and videos and things like that. Some of that is currently on there, but we're in the process of uploading a ton of high quality, awesome looking pictures for all the customs, so that people can get an idea of what we make.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah, I browsed y'all's Instagram today on lunch, and wow, there's some pretty stuff.
You have to stay away. So the Microtech one's pretty good. Anthony's, I don't know if you follow him, his personal Instagram, he posts all the customs, and that one's, you got to be careful with that one, because you'll walk away trying to buy a couple knives if you browse his Instagram. He posts a lot of the good stuff.
Yeah, he always posts those. I'm like, oh
dude, it's rough. I mean, I work there. I've got to see them, and I've got to hold myself back from buying everything I see, because I have to still eat.
Yeah, really. It's crazy. We have a question on YouTube that's kind of a complete different topic, but really interesting actually. Myth Custom wants to know, does Microtech do anything to help change knife laws in states that ban autos and bally songs? So it's a good question.
That is actually a great question. At the moment, as far as I'm aware, at the moment, we don't do anything. I would say actively on the legal side that changes or that fights any knife laws. But we're always very, very active